touch of your lips, baby, next to mine. Hi, I'm Lee Tillman, and we are Buddy Stewart's Top Notchers. You know, music is a big part of the fabric of Louisiana. We can preserve our musical heritage for education, local music fans, or future music lovers. The children of today need to know Louisiana's musical history in order to know where they're going tomorrow. Help preserve Louisiana's musical heritage for tomorrow's generation.
I even came to D.C. And studied at Georgetown for the internship program for the arts and sciences after my sophomore year in high school. And I had a scholarship to attend a 6-year med school program. You do 3 years undergrad and 3 years med school. And when I left, my parents retired in '82, and we moved from New York to Seattle, Washington. And I spent that summer, while they were moving, I spent that summer at Georgetown. And I think it was a combination of knowing that I was leaving all my friends and just being real depressed. I had a guitar with me. And I think at first it was like therapy, just playing and just relaxing, taking my mind off what I thought all these troubles I had. And somewhere, you know, within the course of those 3 months, I really started to find myself with the instrument, with the guitar. And I wasn't really playing jazz at that time, just playing the guitar, playing blues and trying to play some pop songs. And I thought that I might want to give the guitar a try. So when we moved to Seattle, I had previously been playing the acoustic bass in the jazz band with my high school in New York. And we moved to Seattle, I joined the jazz band there, and I played guitar in the band, and I won some scholarship money to attend Berklee. And I was able to skip a year of high school and graduate early. And I convinced my parents that I was going to go to Berklee, and if things didn't work out, I still would have time. And I was only 16 when I graduated. I figured I still have time to go back and re-enroll at Georgetown. And but of course I had in my mind, I was already convinced that that was for life, you know. They just weren't convinced. So when I got to Berklee and started making strides musically, that was it, I was sold. when I was working at the jam session at the Blue Note, every year they have an anniversary. I think they're up to like the 9th anniversary now at the new location. But this was the 6th anniversary. Billy Eckstine was the host. And one of George's sons, Robert Benson, was a student at Berklee. During my last year, he'd enrolled there. And George and his wife came to the Blue Note they were invited guests just for the anniversary celebration. And I think Sarah Vaughan was in the house, Henry Butler was there. And quite naturally, everybody wanted to see George get up and play guitar. So the owner of the club asked me would I let George play mine. I said, well, of course, if I get to meet him, So I walked up to him and introduced myself. I told him that I knew his son, and we talked for a minute, and he took my guitar and he went on the stage. And he was just incredible, as usual. He sang some and played. And then he handed me the guitar, and he said, okay, thanks, and I thought he left. And actually, I was a sigh of relief because I had to play next, and I didn't want him to hear me. So I went on the stage to play, and he snuck around the back behind the bar and stayed to listen. And he left me a message that he liked what he heard and that I would be seeing him again. A couple weeks later, I saw him, he came back to the Blue Note. I think Bob James was playing there, and we would go on after and do the after-hours set. And he stayed and talked for a while, and he did that for a couple of weeks, maybe 2 months, I guess. And then he said, I think you need to go uptown and meet Jack McDuff. And I had already met Jack, but I had never had the opportunity to work with him. He said, you need to go work with Jack. Just call him and go up and find a way to get in the band, because that's what helped me, and I think it'll help you. And he said, I'm going to go to Europe, and I'll be back in 2 weeks. When I get back, I'll take you up there. Maybe I can help you out. So I didn't wait. Like the next morning, George Benson said, so I should join the band. I want to come up and audition. So I went up there, and he treated me real bad, but he was cool. And he said, well, yeah, I like the way you play, but I haven't got time to teach you the music. So, can you read? And I said, well, yeah. So I joined the band, and our first gig was at a place called Showman's Lounge, right around the corner from the Apollo Theater, on 8th Avenue, 125th. So we were playing on a Friday night, and the phone rings, and George was calling from the airplane. He was calling McDuff. He said, listen, man, I'm coming in from somewhere in Europe, and I'm coming straight there from the airport. I want to talk to you. I want to come up and hang out. And when he got to the club, he walked in the door, and I was the first person he saw. He said, wait a minute. What are you already doing here, So he listened to me play it, and then that night he gave me his home phone number, and he said, listen, call me, and let's get together, I think I can help you out. So, of course, the next morning, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I called, And he was genuine. He said, man, come on out to the house. And I went out to New Jersey, and I would go out there, every 2 weeks or so. And the first time I went out there, I got there like 12 in the afternoon, and I didn't leave till maybe 1 in the morning. We played guitars just all day, and then his wife made some dinner, and the things that he was able to turn me on to, based on his experience of playing the guitar, were invaluable, and that was about 1988 when I first started hanging with him. And then as I developed further, he told me that I should start recording. And he mentioned my name to Tommy LaPuma, who was working with him at Warner Bros. And that's why Tommy signed me. I made a tape and sent it to Tommy, and he recognized my name, having heard it from George, and he signed me almost right away. because the program was an hour. Tune was I had written it. It was in my head, and I just turned the show off and went to the guitar and worked it out. And I mean, that was a specific instance where something was a direct inspiration to some music. And I can't be any more analytical about that because I don't really know where it came from. I was just watching it, and that was the tune. And one of my favorite compositions of mine was that's the way it happened. Well, I'm preparing to do a record with Jeff Watts, Kenny Kirkland, and Branford and Nicholas Payton, and my bass player Roland Guerin. It's all straight ahead, in the more groove oriented side, and some will be a little more progressive in terms of experimental, from a more experimental jazz point of view. But I want to recapture some of the things that we had spirit of that record. And develop that, because I'm a much different musician now than I was 3 or 4 years ago when we recorded that. So, but I'd like to go back to that style of playing and just document the growth that's there. And I think, there's no better rhythm section than Jeff Watts and Kenny Kirkland talking about it. So, because I played on the Tonight Show with him one night, and that was maybe a year ago. And I just realized then that I was going to have to, at some point in my life, it was like a dream to be able to record with those guys. At that discussion, the opposing viewpoints. I mean, to where most cats get violent about what they do. I prefer to just say that music that's great, and you have music that's good, and you have music that's not so good. You just have to determine what you like. You know, I take the diplomatic way out of that question because you get in so much trouble with people about trying to define what jazz is. To me, the first jazz musicians that I came in contact with on record were people like Jimmy Lunsford and Duke Ellington, people of my parents' generation, because my parents grew up in the 20s and 30s in New York, so they used to go there tonight, you know, and not to mention people like Billy Eckstine. So I grew up when you talk about that music, it's very easy to define that as jazz, because that's what it is, you know. And then different extensions, and the music has gone so many different ways. I will say this, that I think that in order for a musical style to even be related to jazz, it must, as a prerequisite, it must have some type of improvisatory structure to be spontaneously creative on some level. I think to say that, you know, that it's got to at least have that. I mean, I think that's what the spirit of jazz has always been, the spirit of creativity, you know, and I think that's got to be there.